coming up this week, I'm going to be reflecting on a recent 10k race that I took part in, but also I'm going to be talking about something that might ring a bell with you if, like me, you're a casual runner. And something happened to me probably about 2 or 3 weeks before the 10k race that I'm going to be talking about later on. And I was going to go out for a run on this particular weekend. I was going to head out and do a 10k training run. And I just could very easily have not gone. I just kind of lost my mojo. And really for me, that's something that doesn't really happen that often. I'm quite motivated to get out there and run, but I just suddenly felt like I could very easily have just stayed at home. Now normally at the weekend I vlog, but I pushed to go out and I thought I'm still going to go out, so I went out, but I didn't actually vlog because I wasn't in the right kind of frame of mind. But I made me think, why do these things happen? Why is it that sometimes, when inexplicably really, you just suddenly realise you don't want to go out?
No, I don't care if a man walked on the moon, if it's hoax or if it's truth.
So I had a bit of think about it. I had to try and analyse why it was that I didn't want to go out, because actually I think you should just accept the fact that sometimes, you know, we're all human and these things are going to happen. On this channel I try and be sort of upbeat and I try and motivate people to get out there and do it, but I wanted to be honest and say that I kind of had this blip. And I think I know why it was with me, because I knew I had a 10k event coming up. It was just on the horizon, and my 10k times, as you'll know if you've been watching these videos of late, weren't good for me. I mean, they were okay, they were perfectly respectable, don't get me wrong, but they weren't kind of heading in the direction that I wanted to do, because I wanted to show real improvement after kind of 2 years since I did my first 10k. I wanted to show that I'd progressed, and the times that I was turning in were not really that much better than they had been when I'd done my first ever 10k. And I thought, well, so that worried me a bit, because I thought, you know, I felt like I owed it to you to do well. I'm not blaming you. This is all me putting stuff on myself, trust me. So anyway, that's one thing. Also, I'd kind of been away on holiday, and I'd come back from holiday and hadn't done a lot of running actually. And come to think of it, because of my kind of schedule of things, my running, the amount of running I've been doing had dropped. I'm probably running less now than I have done since I started 3.5 years ago. So that made a difference, and I'm going to come back to that in due course. Yeah, so that was it. When I came back from my holiday, I was really busy at work. I mean, it was bonkers busy, and I was working really long hours. I was working evenings, weekends, as well as during the day, and it was a bit nuts. And, you know, all work and no play makes Andy a very dull boy, and, well, duller. So there was all of this stuff going on. I started a new evening class, and at this evening class I was getting a bit, not worried about it, but I was not concerned either. I was just sort of apprehensive, I suppose, because I was going to have new teacher, new classmates, and that kind of, you know, it's all a bit new. So I had all of this stuff going on, and I think it just got on top of me, frankly. But I'm pleased I went out for that run. This is the key thing. I'm pleased I went out because I did feel better afterwards. And of course, work's calmed down a bit. The evening class is brilliant. I'm absolutely loving it. It's fantastic. Of course it was going to be. It was all great. And the 10k event, as we will find out later on, and if you saw last week's video, was also a triumph. So I suppose the thing I'm trying to say here is that we all have these blips. Things will happen. It won't always go according to plan, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but just know that it will get better. Tomorrow is another day, and you can just carry on, and you'll get back out there again before you know it. Right, I'm now going to venture for a run. Now, I haven't actually been out for a run for a fortnight. My last run was the 10k event that I'm going to be talking about later on. So it's been 2 weeks since that, and I haven't been out for a run because I hurt my knee. It's nothing to do with the run, nothing to do with running at all. I walked into something and hurt my knee. So I thought, well, actually, it's better safe than sorry. I won't go out. So I'm really looking forward to today. First 10k for a fortnight, first run for a fortnight. So I'm going to get out there, get going, and hopefully have a great time.
I've been known to lose my temper when I'm tempted to, but otherwise I'm a pretty nice guy. And if you knew all the places that they send me to, you would know to avoid my kind. Oh, no, I let my loved one go. I can't stop, no, I can't tolerate. Oh, no, let my true colors show. Black and blue look good on you today. Half of one heart and half of one soul. Half of one.
There we are, run complete. Let's stick those times up on the screen. It was a slow one, but that's fine because I haven't been out for a run at all for a fortnight. So, you know, that's fine. It was going to be nice and steady. And in fact, my last run was the 10k event that I'm going to be talking about in a moment. And yeah, that I was really pushing it for that. So yeah, today was always going to be slow. I'm just pleased. It was really nice to get out for a run after all this time. So, okay, the 10k event. Now, if you saw last week's video, you will know that I was taking part in the Run Bournemouth Supersonic 10k 2021. Here's my running shirt. There are. I got it. Lovely job. Now, they didn't put the date on this, or the year. They didn't put the year on these running shirts. I'm not surprised because they probably thought, what happens if it gets cancelled because of COVID and they've had all these shirts made? And normally it has the year on the back, but it just says finisher. And, you know, it would have been nice to have the year on the back, but to be honest, I don't really blame them. Now, if you saw the start of the run, the run in the video last week, you might be wondering it was a bit odd because there was this big thing, this big countdown from 30 seconds, and I had it included in the video, and then there was the starting pistol, and then we just kind of started like slowly moving forward. Now, if you haven't done an organised timed event like that before, you might have thought that was a bit strange. Why didn't we all suddenly start going for it? And there's a reason for that. Up the front, you have the elite runners. They're the people that would have started going hell for leather as soon as the starting pistol went. But further back, you have these different pens. And although there's nothing to stop you taking off and running, you're not actually that close to the start line. And your number, there's my number there. If you turn it over, on the back, there's a timing chip. And that activates as you go over the start and the finish lines, and that's what gives you the time. So what you tend to do, take a bit of a walk up, and then when you're getting towards the start line, then start running. So as you go over the start line, then yeah, you're going. So I did that. Perhaps I wasn't going full speed right over the start line, but I was running, not walking.
Hey, it's nice to meet you.
When I went over the start line, that's when I started my my timing device, which for me is an Apple Watch. I started that going, and you might have seen the time that I put up at the end of the run, and it was 57:30, which I was quite pleased about. But my actual event, the actual timed chip time, if you like, that was 57:33, and there's a reason for that, because when you press the button to go on, I've got an Apple Watch, when you press the button to go on there, it gives you a countdown. I don't know, does a Garmin do that? I've no idea, I've never had one, but the Apple Watch does. It gives you 3, 2, 1. So that's why my time was 57:30, and it was only 9.96 kilometres on the distance when I put the times up last week. But it was actually, of course, 10k, and it was 3 seconds longer. Now that actually tells me a really good thing, which is that these devices that we wear, whether it's an Apple Watch or a Garmin or whatever you happen to have, they're actually really accurate, because I mean, it was spot on. It was that was a properly measured distance. It has to be, this 10k, and yeah, the watch was allowing for my kind of pressing the button a fraction too late. It was spot on. It was absolutely spot on. So that's really good. Now the first kilometre of the run was had a slight incline, slightly uphill. Which was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that, but it's a different route from the last time the event was actually being held. So that was a bit of a shock. But actually, the time for that first kilometre wasn't too bad. I was quite pleased with it, actually. Then, of course, you turn round when you get, there's a cone in the road, and you turn round and you head back the other way. And that, of course, was a little bit downhill. So that, of course, was quite good. So, there we go. People go past me. I don't want to get a copyright strike, whatever that music was. YouTube, don't copyright strike me. Yes, so there we are. So the first kilometre up a hill, and the second kilometre down. But it wasn't really a hill. I'm overdoing it calling it a hill. But that was fine. That was okay. It was all right. Then you went down a slope onto the promenade, and then you run. It's a really nice route. You run all the way along the promenade. You can see the two piers, Boscombe Pier and Bournemouth Pier, all the way off in the distance. Oh, it was fantastic. It was really, really good. And yeah, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the route. It was really nice. It was a lovely day, and it was so nice to have the people running with you. That was just wonderful. I really enjoyed it. And the difference this year, I mean, in 2019, you kind of went beyond the pier, the second pier, Bournemouth Pier, and then you did another. That's where you did the kilometre kind of away and then a kilometre back. So it was like the other end of the run. Whereas this time, you went along the pier, down the straight, down the sort of finishing straight, and there you were, right at the end. And they were kind of calling your name out. Again, powered probably by the chip, the timing chip. They knew you were coming down the straight, and they were, oh, yeah, so you could hear your name being called out as you were running down the straight. Yeah, all really good, really well organised, really enjoyable. And actually, I was really chuffed with the time, 57:33. Now, I've been talking on this channel recently, I've been talking about my personal best, and I've been saying that it was 56:48. I think that's what I said. But I actually checked on Strava, and it's actually 56:28. So I don't know where I got that time from. I don't know. So I was, 65 seconds over my personal best. So that's okay. If it had been 10 seconds, that might have been a bit frustrating. Somebody put in the comments recently that they missed their personal best in, I think it was a half marathon, by 13 seconds or something. So that'd be frustrating, wouldn't it? But being just over a minute, I can live with that. It's fine. And I'm really chuffed with the time. It was probably one of my best times that I've ever put in, actually, on a 10K. So well chuffed with that. So the next question then, I suppose you're going to be asking me, is what do I do next? Everything's okay, the 10K went all right. What am I going to do next? Well, I have got some thoughts about that, and I'm going to tease you a bit here because I'm going to talk about that in next week's video. So if you haven't subscribed and you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and I will see you next week when we'll talk about the future. Have a great week.